surprise was the move that they pulled last minute of Gachagua becoming sick.
Okay.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't see that coming. I didn't expect something like that to happen. I expected maybe him dropping bombshells during the close examination, but I didn't expect that coming. Now we have a political limbo in the country. It seems like we have two vice presidents.
Now, do you think that move of Gachagua being sick, do you think it was honest, or do you think it's a pit maneuver they pulled because they did not want Gachagua to be cross-examined by CIA Governor James Orengo? Is there any expectation, because there will be an empty cabinet slot? Is there any expectation from the Lake now that there will be an empty cabinet slot, and there might also be an empty position in Parliament? Because it is being said, and this is allegations, it's
Correct.
not, it's being said that Kimani Ichung'wah may be pushed to that position in the
interior,
cabinet,
yes.
And then there will be an open slot for a majority leader in Parliament. I also want to take this opportunity to introduce the rest of the panel, starting with Mika Och, who's live via Zoom. Now, Mika, get us warmed up again. You were right last week that DP Gachagua stood no chance of survival. I want you to start by telling us, despite Gachagua being removed from office, as you correctly predicted, what is it that surprised you the most during this week's impeachment trial? Mika, twende kazi.
Thank you, Ali, and I want to thank wapenzi wachangiaji. Unaona Sambaza amekuja kuchangia live on the studio. So the other ones, you need to hit Sambaza's motto, changamoto, ukuje pia nyinyi mtutembelee. We welcome visitors, and Sambaza, thank you for visiting us. Thank you for gracing us today. Really appreciate it. Ali, to your question, what was I surprised about that sitting? What I was surprised about, I wouldn't say surprised, because I wasn't really expecting it, but the level of which the defense presented their case, and by the defense it means Gachagua's lawyers, the level by which they defended their case, the levels by which they presented it, and you could clearly see that they were prepared on defending their client. It's only unfortunate that this is a political, it is a political trial. It's not a criminal trial or a social trial that was being prosecuted against the auspice of a regular court. And it just shows that I think there needs to be a way in which we can separate there's something that can be separated, in that, have you ever seen an innocent person being, ilikuwa kesi ya Yesu, like there's only going to be one answer, right? Remember when Jesus was being persecuted, the answer was just, we need to crucify him. We don't care. You gave us Barnabas, we'll take Barnabas the thief, but we want to kill this guy. That's it. This one is just, this guy needs to go, this guy needs to be impeached, and it needs to go. My surprise was the move that they pulled last minute of Gachagua becoming sick.
Okay.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't see that coming. I didn't expect something like that to happen. I expected maybe him dropping bombshells during the close examination, but I didn't expect that coming. Now we have a political limbo in the country. It seems like we have two vice presidents.
Now, do you think that move of Gachagua being sick, do you think it was honest, or do you think it's a pit maneuver they pulled because they did not want Gachagua to be cross-examined by CIA Governor James Orengo? Mika?
I don't believe it's a pity movement. Yeah. What I believe is they were trying to bring constitutional
crisis,
abortion, a crisis. Basically, what they wanted to do. Remember, the Senate settings are based on time. And if they would have gone beyond the time without impeaching him, then his impeachment would have been null. And
so you can't impeach.
And then if he was going to push the sitting to continue, again, he was going to cause some illegalities in that process by delaying the process of it. And I think also they were trying to find a way in maybe him not being there, they can get away that because he didn't get across cross-examination, then they can produce an illegality again there. So for me, I don't think it was anything to do with pity. For me, I think it was a shrewd move by a shrewd lawyer who expected to be able to push this thing into long grass. At the end of the day, that was happening in litigation, especially in litigation that involves a lot of stake, let's say corporations, or litigations that you put a litigation against rich individuals, and it's something that they usually just tend to get good lawyers, and good lawyers push it into long grass, kick it into long grass, take time, slow it down. And we've had governors who were and MPs who were in court throughout their whole term of impeachment. So I think this was just another strategy that they were trying to pull in, something like that.
Okay, asante sana, Mika. So now I want to come back to studio and go to Omosh. And Omosh, I'll come back and ask an uncomfortable question that unfortunately we have to ask because of the way Kenyan politics is. What are people in the Lake saying following Gachagua's impeachment and Kindiki's nomination? Is there any political expectation that the region has about this monumental shift? DJ Omosh Fire, karibu.
Asanteni wasikilizaji, wachangiaji, na pia tuko na mtu hapa ambaye ameingia kutoka wasemaji Texas ama
Dallas.
Dallas basi, au sio? Lakeside, watu wa Lakeside, to be honest, this is just one in many things for people of the lake. But again, big picture wise, because if you say from people of the lake perspective, no one from the lake has gained from this move. In terms of if you're saying that there was a gain, there is no gain. Where is the gain?
But was there an expectation of something, like, let's say
no? Not at all. There was talk initially that this is Baba's roundabout way of coming back, and CG forget AU.
No, that was just that was idle people. That was idle people.
Yeah,
story Jaba.
Correct. That's why I said there was talk, but from a Lakeside perspective, it makes no difference, because when you think about it, the power axis starts and stops in one point. As long as you have access to that point, then everything else that you need is a trickle-down effect.
Okay.
Meaning it's going to come, either it'll come your way if you're in the path, or it won't. So from a Lakeside perspective, this really did not make any difference.
Okay. But is there an expectation? Because now with the movement, we have Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki moved to the Deputy President position, and of course acknowledging also there is this limbo because of the court ruling that came, where there's a possibility that Rigathi Gachagua might still be Deputy President based on that court order that was issued.
He is.
Yeah. So, okay, with Kindiki being moved, let's say like Kindiki successfully sworn in as the Deputy President.
Correct.
Is there any expectation, because there will be an empty cabinet slot? Is there any expectation from the Lake now that there will be an empty cabinet slot, and there might also be an empty position in Parliament? Because it is being said, and this is allegations. It's
correct.
It's being said that Kimani Ichung'wah may be pushed to that position in the cabinet.
Yes.
And then there will be an open slot for a majority leader in Parliament.
Again, if we are to go with that narrative, then if you're shifting chess pieces, then you, at that point you say, okay, that if you're just the way they've always done regional disbursements, then that would mean that Lakeside would get something.
Yeah.
Would it necessarily be Lakeside, or it will be ODM?
I would say,
because I honestly see,
I would say ODM, and then
I
depends
see ODM,
on
not Lakeside.
Okay, the reason why I am saying Lakeside is because if you say ODM, right, and then you start looking at the disbursements within ODM, like who are the people who are sitting, right?
Yeah.
Then if you're not gonna go honestly within Lakeside, then you might say, okay, then maybe we go coast. Then you say, okay, if we go coast, then who in coast?
Yeah.
Right.
So
then you're like, okay, then if not, then you're like, but like in coast, Joho alipewa, sijui nini. So it's an interesting way that things would work, and the way that ODM normally works. It's interesting. This, to me, I think that this would possibly go Lakeside, but at the same token, whoever it is that's the majority, you want somebody who has tenure, is familiar, commands a presence, understands the constitutional law, or knows a lot of these things. And a lot of those guys are actually lawyers. A lot of those guys who are there are actually lawyers. In as much as we think there are some people who are like Engineer Sudi, but a lot of those people are lawyers. So I would venture to say that I actually see if things are correct and they line up the way that they would be lining. And I don't know if you would say this is Otinda Molo's way back. I don't know.
Yes, and I did not want to mention that name, but that's a name that's been.
I don't know. I mean, he's kind of been active in a way, but not active, but then quiet, but then and he had been pushed to the side, and you're like, why has this guy been sidelined? This guy is such a brilliant mind. Like, he should be doing other things, but with party politics, there's so much that happens in there. Mpaka hata wewe mwenyewe unashangaa.
Because I think there's a maneuver that the president is trying to pull. I'm going to talk about it. You know, like we're going to go to OneMic, but before we go to OneMic, I want to get a perspective from the outside. Super producer yuko ndani ya studio leo, Mubelwa Bandio. Mubelwa, maybe just give us a perspective ya kutoka nje. You know, because unajua sisi wa Kenya, for the last, especially the last 2 weeks, we've been so hooked on this. Hatujui labda watu kutoka nje wanasemaje. Yani labda kama vyombo vya habari Tanzania wanazungumzia ama kama wametangaza au kama wanaidadisi. What exactly are you hearing from people in Tanzania regarding what's happening in Kenya? Mubelwa.
Katia mic.
Okay.
Katia mic.
Ndio hiyo mic.
Pengine ilikuwa story ya sukari. Unajua uko kwa hawana sukari.
I don't know. Kwanza sijafuatilia sana. Especially kutoka vyombo vya nyumbani. So nafanya hivyo tunapofanya production hapa. Also kidogo naangalia vile watu wana comment, lakini tatizo la Tanzania kama ambavyo katika vyombo vingi vya habari unasoma and then you feel kwamba hii ni copy and paste from. Actually kuna sehemu nili screenshot nikataka nitume kwenye group pale, baadaye nikaona, you know what, I think I'm better than this. Lakini unaona kabisa kwamba mtu amekwenda amenyofoa something somewhere alafu akaleta aka paste pale. Lakini labda mtazamo wangu tu, mimi sitaki kuangalia zaidi wale watu wanasema, lakini nimeshangazwa. Niko nafikiria inachukua muda gani kumfikiria mpaka kumteua deputy president. Sawa? Na mimi kwangu nafikiri inachukua a day to a week kama unafikiria mtu. Lakini kama ametangazwa leo, ina maana tangu lini Ruto alijua kwamba anahitaji mtu mwingine? Unajua? Kwa silent kwa muda mrefu sana. Hii kitu alikuwa na siku ngapi? Alikuwa na siku 10 na ngapi kutangaza mpaka siku 60? Politically angalau angeacha siku 2 siku 3.
Lakini mambo imeenda mbio.
Lakini imekwenda mbio as if sasa hii inakuja kuonyesha kwamba hii ilikuwa ni product ambayo tayari, yani walishakuwa na lengo, wakawa wana plan how to achieve it. Walishakuwa na Kindiki, walishakuwa na hivi. Come on. Yani ametangaza jana, leo ni deputy president. Huyu sio mkuu wa polisi wa wilaya. No.
Yes.
We're talking about deputy president. Ambaye una interview na sio tu una point. Unakwenda, unakaa naye, unazungumza, anaangalia policies zako, anaangalia future unayoitaka. Walizungumza lini?
Well,
kwa hiyo kwangu mimi ni kwamba kuna vitu vilikuwa vinaendelea kabla ya Senate kufanya ilichoifanya, ambayo inanifanya niamini, kwa sababu kama Ruto amekwenda akamteua huyu mtu baada ya impeachment ya Senate, this means Ruto ana shida, kwa sababu ni the same Ruto ambaye alikuwa na the entire cabinet akaifire, same Ruto ambaye alimteua DP kamfukuza, then same Ruto ambaye anaonekana kama tutasema kwamba amempata Kindiki after impeachment, amechukua muda gani kufanya naye interview? lakini kama alishafanya naye interview ina maana this was planned na yeye alikuwa na assist kwa sababu tayari alikuwa na Kindiki huko nyuma.
Yes, ilikuwa ishapangwa na watu walikuwa
tayari wanazungumzia kitambo sana. From day one ilikuwa ishapangwa from day one.
Tatizo ni kwamba yeye alichofanya ni kwamba ameshindwa atakuwa politically correct kuacha iweze kuplay out.
Okay.
Ambayo nafikiri kisheria na inawezekana na haki, inawezekana na haki ya kuondolewa. Ila nafikiri the how. Unajua ile ni kama mtu anataka mtoto and then unamrape. Unasema nimekupa ujauzito. Sawa, umempa anachokitaka. Lakini je, umempatia kwa njia sahihi?
Now
hapa naona kama Ruto amebaka system.
Hapa
wow.
And you see
but you know amefanya hivyo bandio, but then now you see the thing, there's a thing where it's done. And Ruto has never even spoken about this impeachment. Nowhere.
Alikuwa kimya.
Amenyamaza kabisa, hajaongea kitu yote.
Okay, ngoja hapo. Mika, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Kwa sababu huyu amekwenda kwa Wakenya wamevote kwa sababu ya Ruto. So ndo nilikuwa nakujibu. Constitutionally, vile constitution ya Kenya inasema, president wa Kenya is supposed to do Tafada si MP wa Ruto, alikuwa MP wa nini? One of these smaller parties that are not in the same
Maendeleo chap ya Alfred Mutua.
Yeah, Alfred Mutua, right? Is a guy who say that. So ikaenda and ikadiscussiwa nini na wakamtoa. Guy didn't say anything. He didn't interfere with the process. So he didn't break any law by interfering into parliamentary process. He didn't nominate. Ndio nakwambia vile alibaka.
No, nataka nikwambie kwa sababu unapozungumzia huyo sio mtu wa Ruto, ni sawa na kuzungumzia tu Sigaba sio mtu wa Trump kwa sababu tu alikuwa Democrat.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Bandio, at the end of the day tunaangalia in a point of kwa kubaka sheria. Si ndio? So hapa ni mimi na wewe watu wanajua mimi na wewe tuko pamoja, lakini mimi nikakupatia uchafu wa Ali, alafu ukanika huo uchafu kitumia kwanza radio sawa badala ya one mic, but you are one thing, so right, but so if blame comes it goes to kwanza radio. So and that the thing is done, and then in Senate pia hakuongea kitu yoyote sawa, ameacha process ikafanya. So for him vile inaonekana like how it looks, how they cannot fault him waseme kitu hicho kwa sababu yeye hajafanya kitu yote, but in reality we know his fingerprints
wanaweza. So Mika, ngoja nikuulize wewe sasa, wewe unafikiri kama Ruto amefanya kwa sababu ya matokeo ya Senate, unafikiri alikuwa na muda gani tangu Senate imemwimpeach, assuming kwamba hakuwa akitaka kuingilia, kwa hiyo akaacha mpaka Senate itakavyoamua ndo ataenda? Walimwimpeach lini?
Walimwimpeach usiku na akachagua mtu hiyo usiku kumaanisha
which again ndo narudi hapo nafikiri how smart it is kwa rais kumteua makamu wa rais.
Alikuwa shapanga. Hii ni mambo ilikuwa ishapangwa tayari, walikuwa wanajua matokeo na walikuwa tayari washapanga, ndo kwa sababu kina Mwito alipojaribu kuvuruga mpango I think pale anaitwaje huyu speaker Amason Kingi alipoenda kule nyuma, I think ilikuwa ni Sibu anapokea. Sibu alikuwa anapokea na mbua hakuna hii mambo lazima ishe leo kwa sababu I think
we need to move on. I have a flight to catch.
He has a flight to catch and I think he has an intention of launching the deputy president on Sunday, on Mashujaa Day. But wacha turudi studio hapa kwa Mike hatujamsikia sana.
Uno yuko Mrima.
Yes.
Oh wait, uliguza Mrima?
Yes, so Mrima umeguzwa. So Mike, tell us what's going on Mrima now that Gachagua has been sacrificed. We saw members of parliament crying, kina Gathoni wa Mushomba, and I think it was I believe it was Kimani Ngunjiri. I don't know whether even if OneMic was crying huko kando, but
he was in Ongem, in tears.
But now with Ruto's nomination of Kindiki and the power in Mount Kenya being shifted to the east, what is the ground saying?
They are all saying it's Raila. Oh,
by the way, that question sounds like that one for Bright Bar to Kamala Harris, but that's fine. Setup umesikia?
Murima.
Anyway, Murima haijaguzwa.
Haijaguzwa.
Imenyanduliwa proper.
Damn.
So,
ebu translate yo.
Let us just say bila loop. So anyway,
No Didi.
No Didi. So
Yeah.
here's the dilemma. There's a dilemma here. The dilemma is with him, with Kindiki being selected. You know, there's that association of Tharaka-Nithi, you know, the votes.
Yes.
You know, Kikuyu, Embu, Meru always stand together.
Yeah.
If it so happens that Merus perceive that there is no support towards Kindiki,
Yeah.
that will create a
Rift. Okay.
That is one. Hypothetical. Two, if there's a way it can be shown that this guy and the Kikuyu Murima now Cukes can actually see that Apa tulichezwa, they tell Marians, listen, unaona vile tumechezwa,
You're next.
you're next. If you can, you're able to
Yeah.
convince that in such a way, then you can be like, you know what, let's drift back, because you can also, you remember how Kamodo at one point was just isolated.
Yes.
You stay,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no ikiti ntamu, lakini no, we are not going to supposedly sacrifice ourselves. Weka huko.
Yeah.
But in as much as those guys are crying, those are the guys who are singing Tugo kena tene, tugo kena tene, tushangole ruto. Those are the same guys who are crying, who are singing that song. And some of those guys are the ones who are beating UK to a pulp.
Wow.
They were beating him to a pulp. So right now,
Yeah.
there's an angst where people are not happy with, because of the people who voted. In as much as Rigiji was not liked because of what he did to UK,
Mm-hmm.
there's also a semblance of Kawoishe.
Yeah.
But when you think back, lakini this guy inalifanya.
Yeah, he was an attack dog.
He was an attack dog.
Yeah.
And now that his work is done, see, Ruto has career, and then he was able to gobble up. He was able to cannibalize opposition. Ruto,
Yes.
what else does he need him for?
Now the question is Ruto, because there's two things. Is Ruto maybe planning? Of course, he's already been working on the lakeside, and clearly looks like that's a block that he wants for 2027.
Right.
But now, and he also understands that he's lost a lot of support from the Mount Kenya side.
Yes.
But now with bringing Kindiki into the picture, could he be trying to split Mount Kenya votes
Yes.
to Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya West,
Yes.
and have now the Mount Kenya East, the Meru, the Tharaka-Nithi, and Embu go with the lakeside?
It's a
and
possibility.
go into the same coalition.
It is a huge
Could that be something he's working?
Yes, it's a huge possibility. And it is something, I don't know if you guys know, I don't know, Moses Kuria had tweeted, of course a screenshot was going around.
Yeah.
But it was going around saying that this time it's on us now, the Kikuyu, to support
The Meru.
the Meru.
Yeah.
And that right there
But-
now it's going to be that thing of trying to balance, like, okay, how are we going to, we can support,
Mm-hmm.
but you can support by saying we'll support the guy, but we're gonna make a big stand.
So
We're gonna try and
let me
convince-
ask a
we're gonna
question.
convince these guys. Hold on, we're gonna try and convince these guys that this Ruto guy is not good. Unaona vile tumefanywa?
Yes.
You're next.
Okay, so Mika,
Yes,
real
Mika.
quick, you had a question.
Yeah, my question is this to Uno, because for me, what I'm looking at it is this way. Again, hii story ya kusplit Murima into East and West, to me kwangu na bado ni story ya jaba, because let's be honest, people were saying that, and actually, if you remember when Raila came out and spoke and said Uhuru called him, but Uhuru told him, go talk to this guy, go help this guy, right? And it's not like all Central. Other to same Mount Kenya, let's talk Central.
Yes.
It's not like all Central was supporting Rigiji.
Yes.
No.
He doesn't have de
True.
facto. He doesn't have de facto.
No.
He didn't set himself as the kingpin of Central region. That is what he was working towards getting.
Yes.
He didn't achieve that.
Yes.
So, for me here, I think it's just a matter of there were politicians who were aligned to him, who were benefiting from him, and who they were protecting their benefits. And it's gonna just be time, because one thing that is really hurtful to a politician's career is being a political orphan. And especially right now, whereby people have set themselves up in a cozy house and they're enjoying. Na wewe ulikuwa kwa hiyo nyumba, alafu ukatoka, and the person you left with is in political oblivion. He cannot help in any way politically.
Right.
Ricky G is not somebody who you can say right now he can control Mount Kenya politics the way Uhuru can.
Nope.
Despite being outside.
100%. You know.
So for me, I don't see a split in that region. I just see people who are wananungunika for now, but in a few weeks, the chickens will come home to roost.
Okay.
No, you know, let me say this. Yes, before Sambaza chimes in. Yes, there's also that lens where people might decide, you know what, let's, you know, once the frustrations are out, because remember, you know, like I said, you know, what Rigiji did not sit well with very many, and especially most people who, for them, 07 hit home. Right, knowing what happened and how people were evicted from PEV.
Yeah,
you know, those guys were evicted or whatever. But Qs also have this thing of covenants. I keep my word, I'll keep your word.
Yeah,
you know, and that one of Guy, you know, Bible, alafu Guy, you know, like you can remember, even I think it was his uncle who was going around talking about how we are going to keep our we are going to keep our debt.
Whose uncle?
UK. The guy, there's another mzee of now the wazees. I can't remember the name. The name escapes me.
Yeah.
But he was going around saying, no, we are going to keep our word. We said we're going to support this guy and we are going to follow up and support this guy. And then, of course, you know, Qs, na Biblia, na Bible, na whatever, they're very staunch on the biblical front. And this guy comes, gives them the Bible. And then there's also that one of a debt has to be paid. So that in itself, right now, it's settling in as much as Rigiji did what he did, it's settling in. And then once now of the career, the five stages of what do you call it? The 5 stages.
Yeah.
Once now, if
5 stages
of grief.
Yeah.
Sasa ukianza kusema yenyewe, wacha tufanye reassessment.
Okay.
Ini madhokodhanio.
Aya, hata tuende kwa Sambaza kidogo sasa, you know, like cause hapa watu wa DMV tunapenda kuchapa siasa sana. Sambaza, how engaged are Kenyans in Dallas, especially on this impeachment drama that has arrested our attention for the last 2 weeks? Ama Dallas watu bado tuweko sherehe?
No. Dallas ina sherehe yake, lakini bado pia they're into the politics.
Okay.
And in my opinion, anywhere in the diaspora, I think each part of the diaspora is part of your hometown. So anything that's happening in any part of Kenya, well, in any part of the US, or no, let me put it this way: anything that's happening in Kenya, especially this impeachment, did take an effect at in the diaspora, even in Dallas. So a lot of the people were watching, and we were, you know, kind of curious, because this is a process that has never happened.
Yeah.
And shout outs to the constitution that we have that has shown us, you know, that there's a possibility of something to happen. You know, it's possible for things to happen, whether it's right or wrong, but we rely on the constitution for that moment. Now, I'm going to go with what Mike was saying about the Murima. I think what we have to realize is Murima, they're going to be united. Hata tufanye nini, kazi endele, walikula 10 years. There was nothing we could do. Kibaki did his 10, and you see there's that idea of coalition, and they know they're strong. So whatever they try to do with the skirmishes, no, you're not going to break them apart. Those tribal politics are going to stay there. So when we talk of, we're trying to make east or west, that's a stronghold you're not going to be able to break. One way or the other, they're going to regroup. And I think with my travels back at home, you know, when you're in the Ubers, you talk to these guys, you know, and you ask them about how they feel. I remember one guy was saying, "Uyu jama uyu, wacha akule tu. Those couple of years now he has 2027. Atakiona, he had better eat. But when 2027 comes in, we're gonna get down to it." So I think there's that element of of the strongholds, being the Murima people, and also I think diaspora. We're gonna play a role this time, considering what we've done, starting from the Gen Z and what we've been doing all through.
Yes, and that's something that we're gonna get to a bit later on in the show. A couple of comments here coming in. I can see Slay was saying, I was about to say the same. We also don't expect anything. I think she's talking about the lakeside. And then Victoria's Karendi here, Karibu Sana, saying Kawoishe. I think that's referring to Rigiji. And then Masheke Ndirangu says, Murima tukubali tulichezwa. Hii ndio bottom down policy agenda. Tribal politics at play as usual. And I also want to welcome Adhiambo Dak. Adhiambo says, I forgot to donate buckets for the predicted, prophesized, and seen tears. Tribal politics tribal politics zikulwe na sublenya. I don't know that.
Sablenya.
Sablenya. Okay. Okay, whatever.
What is Sablenya?
Hiyo sasa sijui kama ni lugha huko watu wa lake, like someone
ni samaki ingine uko imekaushwa tu, mefupa tu.
Okay, basi hizi vitu tuelezee bana. Yeah, but now to the point that you made, Sambaza, I don't know why people always talk about the mountain always being united. And I say this because if you just look at the numbers from when Kenya got multi-party, they were not united in 1992. That's part of the reason why Mwai pitted katikati. There was a group that was supporting Matiba. There was another group that was supporting Kibaki. Yeah, so there was a split. When it comes to 1997, and then remember people like Paul Mwite, when he was still a very strong politician, he was in Ford Kenya, and he still could win, like the Kabete parliamentary seat. When we go to the 2002 election, where Kibaki won, remember there was a big chunk. I think Kiambu went with Uhuru because Uhuru did get a total of I think close to 40% of the overall vote, because I think Kibaki won by close to 60%. So the only elections where they went mia fil mia, or 100 over 100, or maybe let me say 90%, ilikuwa ni 2007, where we actually know Raila won that election. I mean, I think most people can agree now looking back. 2007, and then of course there was the 2013 election, and now I'm talking about Mount Kenya. They went all together, the Merus, the Embus.
What about O2?
And the Kikus? No, O2, I think the Merus and the Embus might have gone with Kibaki.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it was me. How do you say?
Yeah. So, but remember, O2, the Kiambu deviated and they went with, because of Uhuru.
Yeah. So in that aspect, yes.
So in that aspect, they were not all united. But 2000, 2007, 2013, 2017, those to me are the only three elections where they were united. And remember, even in spaces like Meru, you would still go to Meru and find an ODM member of parliament.
Yes.
In Meru. So yes. So I think there's that narrative of they've always been together. But when you look at the elections frame by frame, and even the last election, but I think Raila got almost a third of Mount Kenya vote. I think he got like maybe between 20 to 30%
yes,
of Mount Kenya vote. I don't have the exact numbers, but he got quite a good chunk of the Mount Kenya vote. Sambaza.
Yeah. So there was something that was said. I like the fact that you talked about that 1992 election. Somebody said, I think last week on Spice FM, that he was privy to some of those meetings where they were asked, what are you bringing to the group? Are you bringing money? Are you bringing people? And somebody commented there, one of those guys, and said, this is the guy who went and made code. I think that was Matiba. He was referencing Matiba at that point. And that was a time, I think, where there was that division, and it explains why there was that division. So they did not agree to each other, and that so Matiba said, you know what, I'm going to go and do my thing, you guys do your thing, and then they realized, Appa, it can never happen.
So there were two splits that happened in 92. Remember, Matiba, Jaramogi, they were all in the same outfit called Ford. And then at some point, and apparently it was Moi's intelligence working, they made sure that that the Matiba faction split from the Jaramogi faction. Yeah.
They went to London and brought Matiba back and told him, in Kenya, you are the president. They're expecting you to be the president.
Yes. So Matiba
So when
came.
Matiba landed, he wanted the ticket.
He wanted the ticket and formed for Dasili. And remember, Moi used to win in the 90s by 30-something%. You know, that's another thing that people forget, because the 50% rule had not been implemented. So there was that split between Ford Kenya and Ford Asili. And interestingly enough, there were some Kikuyus who remained with Jaramogi in Ford Kenya. And then now there was, I'm not going to call this a split, but Kibaki was one of the last Mohicans. You know, like he stayed in Kanu until the very last minute, and then akajitokeza and he formed his own party called the Democratic Party. Yeah.
DP, Kobole.
Yeah, in fact, it was alleged that the Democratic Party is the one that was created by Moi's intelligence to make sure, because even with the split, Matiba still had the numbers to beat Moi. So now when you bring in Kibaki into the picture, then now no one has enough votes to beat Moi's 33 or 35% that he used to win with in those black ballot boxes, and of course with stuffed ballots in. Yeah. So I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the One Mic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We are talking about the ongoing drama surrounding the removal of Kenya's deputy president from office. In studio with us for this conversation is Dallas-based Mr. Sambaza of the Sambaza podcast fame. He's here to give us a perspective of the weighty issues unfolding in Kenya from a Dallas perspective. And we'll shortly be talking about the reputation of Kenyans in Dallas. The reputation they've had for a long time of being party goers and how they got activated into Mandamano politics. So I want you to stay tuned for that. Our lines, of course, are open. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. And reminder again that the show is brought to you courtesy of money sending app Lemfi. The links are on the Facebook and YouTube pages pinned. The One Mic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on the first transaction using the code One Mic. Now, if you use the link, you do not need to use the code. Everything will be pre-populated, and you will get your money once you send your first $100. So click on the link pin in the comments and feel free to share with your friends and your family and download it. Now, just coming back to you, Sambaza, and going back to the Gen Z uprising, we're talking about, this is back in June, July.
Yeah.
On your podcast, Sambaza, and the other podcasts that you contribute in, you are constantly talking or having conversations with people who are not Kenyans, as in Americans and people from other African countries. What has the reaction been, generally on the issues that have been going down in Kenya? Because Kenya, this period between June and right now we're in October, there's many things. What has happened in this short period, it takes some countries 20 years for things like this to happen. So what are the people saying?
I think we'll say conversations are going on about what's going on in Kenya. We shed light to a lot of topics that are going ahead in Kenya. One thing with the Gen Z, when people saw the Gen Z movement happening in Kenya, news goes up. They don't understand what it is, and then suddenly, you hear people from Dallas are getting together and doing the Mandamano stuff. It creates a space where you come out and start talking about it. You come and have these conversations, hard conversations, like what's going on in your country. Yes, we are considered party goers, Kenyans in general, Nyamachoma and all that stuff.
Especially in Dallas.
Yeah.
Especially in Dallas.
Dallas got that reputation. I agree. But when you look at it, as people now start opening up and talking about what's going on in Kenya, and then people are saying, yeah, this is our home, this is what's happening. And, when you talk about young kids, those conversations create an idea of, okay, what can we do to help? It can also be us. The fact that we're not there, even as African Americans say they're not there. No, they are our brothers. It doesn't matter. Let's not talk about even African Americans, even the white people. Everybody, it affects you somehow. I'll say this. I had a conversation with somebody who apparently they do some type of investment in Kenya over like food security. And they came and asked me, hey, Kwani, what's going on? Is there something going on that I should worry about? I told him, no, don't worry about it. This is just a small thing. And
No,
true
but
enough,
why didn't you tell him to worry? Is it
I
a
think the
small thing?
magnitude, when you look
Yeah.
at it, it is, to them, they don't understand, and it's magnified. It's just like when it's
it's
war.
amplified. Yeah.
Yeah, war could be happening in the coast, but when Reuters tells you, it's like the whole of Kenya is burning. You see,
Yeah.
and there's that idea of how you have to be there to see what's exactly going on. So me, who's living there and knows the politics that are going on, I told him, you know what? No, just give it some time. This is what's going on, and we'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, we expected much better from the Gen Z, but the results still was a win, but it didn't go as planned. However, in terms of what he had invested in his food security program, he got his investment back, and I think everything is safe and sound. So, like I said, to sum it all up, it's a window that has a conversation going on. Just like apartheid, when
Yeah.
you start small, people hear about it, you talk about it, then it creates a wider conversation, a wider audience.
Yeah, but do you feel like there's Kenya's reputation is being hurt? Because I know there was a lot of pride in people seeing us, do the Gen Z protests like they've never seen before in Africa. But now with all these other shenanigans going on, with our deputy president being impeached, do you think maybe there's a little bit of hurt on Kenya's reputation from outsider, or because funny enough, Kenya usually has a very high reputation from most people, like outside Kenya. So what's your view?
I'd say a dent.
Mm-hmm.
Kenya has a high reputation.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, Kenyans are always talked about highly.
Yeah.
If you talk about Kenya, people have this idea of, the magical safaris and what have you. That one will never go away.
Yeah.
But these are the small dents that will happen here and there.
Okay.
That are part and parcel of any, democracy or any country. So the thing is, at any one time, even when we have these things going on, good or bad, there's always that Kenyan value that we maintain. And I
Yeah.
think it's that consistency that we keep as Kenyans that makes our country always stand strong.
Okay.
So even after all these, Gen Z, yes, they were burning stuff. People see the burning stuff. But again, there's that image at the background say, hey, we still have to go to Kenya and see those animals.
Okay.
And I think even when I have conversations with people, the first conversation I had with the people I was on the plane with was not about the Gen Z. I was talking about Kenya. I was telling people, can you go and eat nyama choma? You need to go to, I met some people, I was telling them, no, you need to go to the coast. You need to go here. But I was not talking about the Gen Z. I think first as Kenyans, we always impress people about our country. We
Yeah.
love our country first. Now, when you know more, and then you start off by, hey, what's happening with Gen Z? I think that's when we start that conversation with
Yeah.
the Gen Z part.
Yeah, it's interesting, and Bandio is not here anymore. I'm in a couple of Tanzanian groups. I sit in there like a mole. Yeah, to just hear what
a fly on the wall.
yes, to hear what they're saying about Kenya, and it's interesting. There's like 2-3 different factions of people when it comes to Tanzania. There's that small minority that looks at it like, wow, like these guys politically, like wamesonga mbele sana, like people can talk freely, people can do this and that, blah blah blah. Then there's this other group that looks at Kenya and they, because like there's that there's a like, let's be honest, there's a love-hate relationship that comes from Tanzania sometimes against Kenyans for one reason or another. So there's that group that looks at it like our upper, like despite their kizungu mingi and their constitution, bado wana umaskini. And And that actually is becoming a very popular thread in Tanzania. You'll remember one of the popular comedians, Mwijaku, was going around talking about how poor Kenyans are. And you see the interesting things. Yes, there's a lot of poverty in Kenya, but so as Tanzania also has a lot of poverty, and there's this measure that's called a Gini coefficient that measures the level of inequality, because they say Kenyans are more unequal. We're actually at almost the same rate as Tanzania in terms of inequality. I think the big difference sometimes is that Kenyans are quicker to show our poverty, to show the negative side. So from the outside, it kind of looks amplified, but both countries, I think, have the same levels of poverty. And then there's another group of people who just constantly hate on Kenya. You know, like whatever Kenya does, tusema katiba yenu mbovu, sijui nini ni mbovu. You know, there are those people who are I think they're also so used to being in the condition that they're in that they're not understanding why is a regular mwananchi looking to be in a position to challenge a president or to challenge a sitting member of parliament. So for some of them, this is something that I empathize with them in the fact that this is something that they don't understand. But to me, what I've picked from Tanzania in those groups that I'm sitting in as a silent patient mole, I pay attention to what they say, and I think, you know, like that love-hate relationship is gonna be part of what really is gonna make it difficult for that East African community to become community as it has been envisioned to be. Uno Mike,
Interesting.
Omosh, Mika, what are other people outside Kenya saying from the circles that you're in? Maybe nianze na wewe Omosh. You know, like, is there any co-workers like or any non-Kenyans that you know that are talking about Kenya?
So, you know, what's interesting with Kenya is that anytime that there's something that's happening in Kenya, especially, I think for Americans, after Obama came into presidency and his connection with Kenya, it's kind of like their ears were kind of like tuned in. So anytime they hear Kenya, they wake up.
Yeah.
And so for them, the maandamanos prior to even Gen Z, they were always like, what's going on? Because that thing, it was a constant, right? That was 23.
Yeah.
Then now we come to maandamano ya Gen Zs, and it's like a whole lot of noise. And so even co-workers, you know, folks will be like, hey boss, what's going on with Kenya? Because they know, this guy goes to Kenya every year, he's from Kenya, and hey, but you guys, what's going on with your country? We are seeing you guys here on the news, bana. You guys are unrelenting, bana. Hey, guys are being, you know. So you kind of try to explain to them what's happening. So those are the type of questions that would come across, because they'll come across it either like on CNN or something like that, you know. And truth be told, politically, this is unprecedented. I think, I could be wrong, this has never happened in Africa.
A deputy president, I don't even know if it has happened anywhere in the world, because sometimes you hear of presidents being impeached, but a deputy president,
and normally even like with Richard Nixon and all, the guys resigned.
Wasn't Josephat Karanja given a vote of no confidence?
No, that's not impeachment.
Yes.
That's not impeachment. A vote of no confidence.
Isn't it almost the same thing? No, when you think about it.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
But then you know, if you get a vote of no confidence, you can still come back, right?
Because after that, Josephat Karanja, it was a wrap.
So I don't know. But because with Josephat Karanja, Moi had the authority to just let him go.
No, but
so I don't know. Maybe we need to go back and check what the strength a vote of no confidence had at that particular
Parliament
time.
passed a vote of no confidence.
But did that mean that he could never ever run?
But
not ever run. I mean, like a 10-year. He had a 10-year sit in the cold, which basically means you've been ostracized. Because 10 years in Kenya is.
But did the vote of
like
no
lifetime.
confidence also mean that you're no longer the vice president?
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. He was alitolewa.
So Moi had the authority of kumtoa.
He could have.
Yeah.
But kutumia kitabu
Yeah.
alifanya nini?
Okay, all right. I mean, that's something that we need to go back and look at. Mika